Well, it's October. Halloween, baby. Sorry I haven't been posting in a few months, but who could resist coming back for Halloween? And today, I got a special horror movie for you that I've wanted to watch for years. And, let's just say it lived up to a standard. This is a wild one. We're looking at Cherry Falls.
Oh, you haven't heard about Rod and Stacy?
Oh, are you taking footnotes for your pathetic little gossip column? What? Did they break up?
Break up! Wake up! They're dead!
Let me tell you a little background about my experience with this movie. Growing up, my brothers and I had a pretty sizable VHS collection, and one of our cherished VHS tapes was Scary Movie. Now back then, we didn't have YouTube to watch trailers or look up new movies that were coming out. So basically, the only way you knew something new was coming out was through the trailers after a movie in the cinema, the trailers on TV, the trailers in the video store, or the home video trailers. And I remember Scary Movie had 2 or 3 trailers on it. The first Scary Movie was basically a raunchy teen film, so the trailers for it kind of followed that. I remember the first trailer was just a straight up sex rompy comedy, but the second trailer was Cherry Falls, and I'll never forget that trailer.
Laura Lee Sherman.
Excuse me?
Laura Lee Sherman? Is your mom home?
No.
She didn't tell you I was coming by.
No.
I must have just missed her.
This trailer set up what I thought was a super interesting premise. I wasn't really sure if the villain was paranormal in some way or just some super strong slasher villain. Maybe a mix of all three, but who knows? There's so much mystery here, and the trailer showed so many enticing shots. So for years, I really wanted to see this movie, and I finally did this summer when I found a copy in my thrift store. So let's talk about it. Cherry Falls' plot is very typical of slasher films from the 90s and early 2000s. It's pretty much Scream. It's a small town in Anywhere, California, where every single resident is super rich and has these mansions that are just kind of passed off as middle class, apparently. Not to mention that this one high school in some random town is way better funded than most of the high schools in major urban areas. But anywho, like every slasher film of the time, there's a theme and a gimmick. So the gimmick here is that all of the teens at the high school are under threat if they're virgins.
All 3 victims attended our public high school, and all 3 victims appeared to be virgins.
That's basically the killer's motivation. She goes after kids who are still virgins. How they know that? Who fucking knows? I don't even know how they choose the first couple victims. Like, there's really no way they could have known. But this is what I mean when this movie was definitely written by producers. Because it's borderline exploitation. Like, the teens literally need to have sex or they die. Of course, I don't really care about that, because it just looks ridiculous looking back at 90s raunch movies back then. So let's start off with the cast. The main character is Brittany Murphy. This is right before she got very, very famous, but right after she did Clueless. So she was a name in the face that could have easily carried the movie. Everybody else is basically a B-movie actor. These are kind of movie vehicles where somebody's like just trying to get their first real role to move on to something really big. And then with B horror movies like this, you also get washed up stars from like the decade before. So in this movie, you have Michael Biehn. And, well, he's not washed up, but he wasn't really doing much after this. I'm guessing he was just in this one for a paycheck.
No.
And like several movies around this time period, it also starred Jay Moore. I actually had no idea what this guy's name was until now, but I've seen so many of his movies. Most of the characters are also played by people in their 20s. One of my favorite characters in this is this intelligent fat guy. Like, he actually has some pretty good moments, to be honest. The problem is, I think they focus on so many different characters that it feels like they couldn't decide whether they wanted to be more of a teen sex romp or a horror movie. So you don't really get a good movie in either way. The problem with this review is that there's a lot of spoilers, and I really do want people to see this movie without me spoiling it for them, because it's not necessarily scary, it is hilarious. It's so entertaining how different things were back then, and also how straight up in your face the pandering was. So anyway, I suggest you do watch it because while I don't think it's a good movie at all, you can have some enjoyment from this. But there are some wild twists at the end of this movie. At least 2 of them that are, I don't even know. Like the whole origin of the actual villain, you will never guess it coming until you actually watch the movie. Like you can see it coming maybe after 30 minutes into the movie, but just seeing the trailer and expecting that going in, you will never guess what it is about. Anyway, give it a chance. Add it to your Halloween list. Don't really keep it as like your penultimate Halloween movie, but it's one to put on there. If not only for the entertainment value. I give it 2.5 out of 5. And apparently that's not being generous because Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 60%. So there you go.
This is my post. I can't just split.